Now, I know that this is a very late response to the caramel video, but a lot of you guys on the channel demanded that I made the video regardless. So, your wish is my command. Now, I might not get as many engagements or views on this video because of how late it is coming, but I still think it is a very important video for every guy on this channel to watch. So, make sure you watch till the end. Sit down, settle down, and watch till the end.
Look, if you want a woman to submit to you, right, you have to be doing everything right. At least you have to check off.
No, see that thing that you said about how they have.
Yeah. So, but what I said was, women have men for everything. Women have men who are down to give them the money.
Lisa, why you lying? You're lying.
First time I'm hearing about this. You're lying. Women have men for everything. Ones who give them gifts. The ones who are just there, who just want to sleep with you. The ones who are just there. We have women for every. We have men. Women for no. We don't have women for. We have men for everything.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to a woman's life and you're saying, oh no, I want you to be submissive, I want you to
like
stroke my ego, I want you to do everything, and you know, all of that stuff, you have to be ready to make sure that you're ticking all these boxes, you're doing all these things for her, because before she'll be able to submit to you, she must have seen that, okay, yes, you're going to provide for me, you're going to do this for me, you're going to do that for me. Before she not say, okay, yeah, oh my gosh, she's doing everything for me, I want to stroke his ego. You will never have to beg for it. Like, you never have to, like, okay, why is this woman not even making me feel good about myself? Yeah. She will just do it willingly, because why? You've already, like, ticked off all the things that she wants. And there's no need for her to go and start looking for the man who's going to spend on her, the man who's going to
everything
be emotionally supportive, the man who's going to be, you know, because you're everything in one.
Thing. The men that have the money, they don't want to put in the work. And then the men that don't have the money are hoping that the work will compensate for no money.
First of all, I want to start with the points that I agree with Caramel on. I know you're surprised. Oh, you agree with her? Yes, I do. I agree with her on some things. First of all, where she said, where she talked about a man needing to have some form of financial backing before a woman can be completely submissive. As strange as it might sound, as much as it might seem like, all these girls are brainwashed, so they are brainwashing them. The truth is, there has never been a point in time where women didn't like financially buoyant men. There has never been a time like that. 200, 300 years ago, right, before monogamy became a thing, when polygamy was the primary form of marriage, poor and weak men went to their grave sexless and wifeless. Back then, one powerful man would have 15 wives, 20 wives, 30 wives. Women have always thought like this. This is not new. This is not like, oh, social media. Social media is bringing male and female nature to the surface, but it has always existed. This is not new. Now, the second point that I agree with her on is where she said, women have men for everything. Now, it is somewhat understandable that men would be annoyed. How do you see that kind of thing? What do you mean by women have men for everything? But the fact that women were dragging her on Twitter as well, I was like, why are you acting like you don't know what she's talking about? Women do have men for everything. When they are young, especially. Women have the husband material, the God-fearing guy. He has some form of good financial backing, but he's not that fun, you understand? She's keeping him for the future. She also has the guy who actually turns her on, the bad boy who turns her on, who isn't looking for anything serious, but she lets him fuck regardless, because that's the guy who she finds attractive. She also has the orbiters, you know, the simps that like, they fuel her with attention, with affection, with money. Do you understand? Free money. Those ones are just guys that are around her that she's gaining from and giving nothing back to. So when Caramel comes out to say women have men for everything, men obviously will get annoyed, and I agree, I understand. But girls should not come and act daft like, oh, what's she saying? All of you know what she's saying. All of you know exactly what she's saying because it's true. Now, for the things I do not agree with her on, which I am very sure is why so many people clicked on this video. Number one, when she said, since a man wants a woman to give him everything, he has to do this, and this, and this.
So if you're coming to a woman's life and you're saying, oh no, I want you to be submissive, I want you to like stroke my ego, I want you to do everything, and
in my head I'm like, what do you mean by everything? Like, what do you think men demand from women in relationships? What do you think? That is this everything you're talking about? How can the gender that has the highest criteria of things that she wants in the other gender come out to say that kind of, like, to make that kind of statement? It is very obvious, right, that women have way more, like, so many more boxes that they need a man to tick than vice versa. Now, obviously, men have their own standards as well, right? But it is nothing compared to the long list that women have. An average man, is more than okay with settling with an average woman. That's just what it is. Do you know what's crazy? Do you know what's even crazier, right? I can bet you that a successful man, right? Guy, we don't blow, we don't make money. He's rich, he's attractive, he has made money, but what he's looking for in a woman, but is still not as much as what an average woman that is not even on that successful man's level is looking for in a man. Now that I have made that very clear, but now imagine what a successful woman is now looking for in a man. A successful man that went to school, she's very attractive, she's making a lot of money every month, she's young, she's like 26, she's in her prime. Imagine what she's looking for in a man when an average woman has such high standards. More proof of this is there are statistics in the West, in America specifically, that prove that when a woman is college educated, the probability of her leaving her husband is 90%. What does divorce mean? Divorce means she looks at him and she's like, I can do better than this bastard. It goes up to 90% when a woman is college educated. College educated in the West means she's most likely going to be able to make more money than a woman who's not college educated. So my entire point is, you can't come out and say when a man asks you for everything, when realistically men are not asking for anything compared to what you guys are asking men for. It doesn't even compare. Like, it's not even on the same level. We are learning from you guys. The second thing I don't agree with, and I'll break this into two. The second thing, let's call it 2A, right, is these women on these podcasts, right, don't explain to their viewers, their female viewers, that they only have a limited window, right, of having these high, unrealistic demands in men. That window closes really fast. It really does, right? I'm not here saying if you're a woman, if you're 23, you're beautiful, you're attractive, go and marry the average Joe. No. Look for, if you want a rich man, find him. You get? Just be realistic about it. Be realistic with the fact that, like, you're not just going to find him and then he'll be like faithful to you immediately. There are so many things you have to do. But chase him. That's not my problem. Find that man. Do you understand what I'm saying? But tell these women that they have a very small window where eventually these men, when you cross that window bar, they'll start looking at the next batch. I'm sure we both know what the next batch. You know what I mean by the next batch now. Once that window closed like this, onto the next batch, your time don't go. I wish these women can like explain to younger women watching them that, yes, so like find the best man you can get. Feel free to form, feel free to raise your standards, but be realistic with the standards you raise and with the time you have. Because your junior colleagues, very soon, dude, not say anything. The second point, I said 2A, so this is 2B now, right? And this is the most important point of this video, so like make sure you listen to this part. After listing out all these things now, Caramel, after listing out all these things that you say men should give women, give, it's always give, right? Do you then think that a man who goes through the stress of acquiring all these things that you say you want him to have, to give to you, do you then think he'll give it to just you? Like, do you think you have the right now to demand for his faithfulness? Do you think you have that right? Because I don't know if you do. Now, think about it like this. If it comes to marriage, women bring an invaluable asset to marriage, which is childbearing. You can't pay for childbearing. Like, childbearing is just, you can't equate anything. You can't even equate money to childbearing. That's how important it is. If a woman is going through childbirth, she needs to be comfortable. You want her to be comfortable. You feel me? So like, that's my whole thing. Like, when women are chasing rich men, I understand it. I'm not oblivious. I get the point. You want to be very comfortable when you're in the process of childbearing. You understand? You want to be comfortable. You don't want to be thinking about your next meal. Oh, this money, that money. You don't want that. You feel me? But Caramel and her friends are not married, and they're not even talking about marriage. They're talking about dating now. Just dating. You want to tell me that me as a man, I will go strive, hustle, put all these things that you want in check, right? If not, you're not going to accept me. And then when I finally have all those things, I'll now present it to only you. Just you. To only you, like, it's now to give. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. And most guys will not do that. It's just delusional to expect that. The biggest argument that they have against this point I made is, well, even if you're a good woman, even if you're a submissive woman, even if you stay with a man when he has nothing, he can still cheat on you. And they have a point, because it's true, right? It's true. The man can still cheat even if you're the most beautiful, most submissive, most understanding woman ever. But my answer to that is, do you think cheating is the biggest crime a man can perform in a relationship? This is a question I'm asking right now. Do you think it is? Because I don't think it is. And why I don't think it is women have proven to me and to us guys that's not the biggest crime a man can commit. Because if cheating was the biggest crime a man could commit in a relationship, then women would not be chasing men that they already know from the get-go has a high probability of cheating on them. From artists to actors to sports players to back in the day, kings, chiefs, rulers, guys who have options with women who most likely would cheat were still the guys who had more women. What does that tell you? That women subconsciously know that in as much as cheating is not a good thing to do, I don't endorse it, it's not a good thing to do, it is a lesser crime, right, than other things. What are these other things? Poverty are these other things. A woman would rather have a man who is financially buoyant, who is there for his kids emotionally and for his wife emotionally as well. If he cheats once, twice, it's not a good thing. She'll call him, she'll tell him, don't try this thing again, but she's still okay, she's still comfortable, than to have a man who will never cheat on her, but he's not financially buoyant. And one thing about not being financially buoyant is you can say, okay, you're not financially buoyant, but you love your kids. But how can you really love, like, an empty stomach has no ears? So, like, how can you really love your wife and your kids if they're not even like well fed? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the basic physical needs that they want, they can't even get them. Smart women, right? Women who have been in long, happy marriages, right, understand that the biggest crime a man can commit is not necessarily cheating on them. The worst thing that can happen to her is if her man withdraws emotionally and cannot support her financially. That's the biggest crime that he can commit. That is the biggest crime he can commit. So when people like Caramel come on shows like this and think advising women to go out there and have unrealistic standards just to end up being 50 years old and unmarried and sad, it just makes me laugh. If cheating was the biggest crime a man could commit in a relationship, then women would go for men who they know would not cheat. Who are these men? Lower class men. Lower class men don't have the option. Like, where are they even going to see it? So who is going to give them that? Who is going to give them pussy? They won't see it anywhere, but they don't go for those men. Now, compare and contrast now with a man proving to you what like his number one deal breaker is. How many men have you heard, right, that stayed with a woman who gave them someone else's kids? The fact that a man would sleep with prostitutes his entire life, which is not good, but the fact that he would do that and still not settle with a prostitute tells you that paternity fraud is so like scary to him that he cannot even put himself at that risk. The point I'm trying to make is, it is very easy to say, men don't like this, men don't like that. Talk is cheap. Look at the actions of men and women and you will know what they truly don't like. You will know what they can take and what they truly can't take.